Hello children, it's Mrs. Lang here and it's lovely to see you again. This is a foundation lesson and it's an RE lesson for Year 1 and Year 2. You might remember last time I talked to you, we were talking about caring for other people, and this lesson is about caring for our world. We've had a lovely spring and there's been lots and lots of beautiful flowers and animals about. I wanted to show you some of the lovely flowers that I've had in my garden. Have a look at the different colours of the flowers. Have a look at the different shapes they are, and also at the different ways in which they're clustered on the plants. Now, if we think about other plants and animals, we also notice that there's a great deal of variety. For instance, how many different kinds of dogs can you think of? Or if you look at trees, do they all look the same? The answer is that in any sort of plant or animal, there are many, many different varieties. Now, a lot of the major faiths will say that there is a God who created all these different types and sorts of plants and animals. A creator is someone who thinks of something and makes something. Now, you might be creative when you make a model out of Lego or make something out of paper and decorate it. So the major faiths believe that there is a creator God who thought of all the different ideas for different sorts of animals and plants and made them. And if you look around you, you must think there's so many different ideas. I wonder who made all those creations. First of all, we're going to have a look at the Islam story of creation, the Muslim story from the Quran. So have a look at this and see what we can learn. In the space before time began, there was just God, Allah. And when God wanted to create something, all he had to say was, be, and it became. So God created the earth and the heavens. He made all the animals that walk and swim and crawl and fly on the earth. He made the angels, the sun, the moon, and the stars to live in the heavens. He made the rain and broke the soil up to bring the corn, the flowers, the trees, and the fruits. Then it was that God ordered the angels to go to the earth and to bring 7 handfuls of soil, all of different colours, from which he could model man. God took the 7 kinds of earth and moulded them into a model of a man. He breathed life and power into him, and he immediately sprang to life. God took the man to live in paradise. In paradise, God created the first woman from out of the man's side. And we see that the descendants of Adam all have those 7 different colours of skin, as we see today. This is the Jewish and Christian creation story, and you might notice it's quite similar to the Muslim one that we've just heard. On the first day, God said, "Let there be light." And there was. God called the light day and the darkness night. On the second day, God created the sky. And God saw that it was good. On the third day, God separated the land from the waters and created flowers, trees, and grass. And God saw that it was good. On the fourth day, God made the sun, moon, and stars. And God saw that it was good. On the fifth day, God created the birds in the sky and the fish in the sea. And God saw that it was good. On the sixth day, God made the animals. And God saw that it was good. Also on the sixth day, God created man in his own image, using the soil from the earth and breathing life into him with his own breath. To keep him company, God made woman from one of the man's ribs. He called the man Adam and the woman Eve. And God saw that it was good. God said that Adam and Eve were to enjoy the world he had made for them, and they were to look after it carefully. On the seventh day, God rested. He looked at everything he had created and thought it was good. Now you might have noticed that the earth was created by God to provide everything good that we as humans need to survive. It produces food, drink, and shelter for us. And the sun, moon, and stars give us light and dark, and also the ability to see the beauty of our world. It is a good world, which humans should treat with respect as part of God's creation. You might know that lots of things are going wrong with our world at the moment, and that we as humans are not caring for the world as perhaps God would have wanted us to. And we're going to have a little look at some of the things that are going wrong next. One of the things we're doing is burning fossil fuels, and that has caused the earth to warm up. The result of this is that we have very hot summers, which cause fires to break out. You might remember the fires in Australia in the autumn. There's also very large and terrible tropical storms and cyclones and hurricanes around the world. The glaciers are melting as a result of global warming, and their water is going into the sea, which is causing the sea level to rise. The result of this means that several places have had flooding. You might remember earlier in the year we had lots of flooding in parts of Britain. And of course the poor polar bears have no ice upon which to walk and to go across to capture their prey, and many polar bears are now facing hunger because the sea ice is breaking up. Another thing that we have managed to make is plastic, which is very, very useful to us, but unfortunately doesn't decompose. So all around the world there are quantities thousands and thousands of bits and pieces of different sorts of plastic that are just lying around and going nowhere. Apart from being a bit of an eyesore and clogging up our oceans, you might know that bits of plastic are getting into the insides of sea creatures and are tangling them up in different ways, and the whole sea life is threatened by all this plastic, and that is getting into our digestive systems as we eat things from the sea. Another thing that man is doing is taking down all the trees. That's called deforestation. And when our trees help us to have good oxygen to live by, taking down rainforests and planting the soil for crops and for oil instead doesn't really do the right thing. And as a result, many animals who used to live in the rainforests cannot live there anymore. They have no habitat. These are orangutans, one of an increasing number of different sorts of animals in our world that are endangered. However, all is not lost, and there are still many beautiful things to look at, and our world in many places is still looking good. I want to just show you some of the birds in my garden. These are the baby blue tits who've just come out of their nest and are eating from our bird feeder. Well, the birds are lovely, aren't they? And I hope you've had the opportunity to see lots of signs of spring as you've walked in your garden or other people's gardens or in parks or in the countryside. Now I want to introduce you to a Jewish festival called Tu B'Shavat, which is a festival of trees. And the story that goes with it goes like this. A wise rabbi was walking along a road when he saw a man planting a tree. The rabbi asked him, "How many years will it take for this tree to bear fruit?" The man answered it would take 70 years. The rabbi asked him, "Well, are you so fit and strong that you expect to live that long and eat its fruit?" And the man answered, "I have found a fruitful world because my forefathers planted for me, so I will do the same for my children." And this story tells us that we all have a responsibility to pass on a good world to the next generation, like we have received one. So let's have a think about what that means. Well, here are a few ideas to help us to look after our planet a little bit better. I expect you're already doing some of these. One of them is to make sure we recycle everything really carefully in the right boxes and bags ready for collection. And that we reuse things as much as we can. So we use our carrier bags and our bags again and again. And we try and reduce the waste that we are leaving behind by being careful with what we use. When we have waste, we can compost it rather than putting it into the bin and return it to the soil to do some good there. And we might even be able to grow some of our own food as well as a result of that. We can enable our clothes and toys and other things that we don't want anymore to be reused by somebody else by giving them to a charity shop where they can be sold on to other people. Well, this is all the beach after a few people have been there in the summer. I hope you don't leave litter behind like this, and in the parks as well. It's something we can all do. Make sure that we take our litter home with us. You might like to get involved with cleaning up our parks or our beaches with a litter claim, and this all helps with those people who are not so responsible as we are. Right, we can use less electricity. We have so many gadgets that work by electricity. We can use our lights less, and we can use power less. One of the things that we can do is dry our clothes outside. So there's a few ideas there that you might want to encourage your family to get involved with. Well, let's have a think about what we've learned so far. We found out that we started off with a beautiful world, a world that many people believe God created or somebody thought about making, because there are so many different kinds of all the creatures and plants that live on our earth. Unfortunately, ever since then, people have been spoiling our world really in various ways, and that's really sad. And nowadays we have to think really carefully about making amends for that, trying to make things better, and we've talked about some of the things that we can do. A lot of children and young people are really, really concerned about the future world that they are going to live in. And there are lots of predictions that now say that even in 50 or less years than that, our world could be in a really, really bad way. But we do need to think about now doing things. I want to finish with a poem for you that is a child's poem really, and it's something that I want you to think about because it belongs to you and your generation. My Future by David Harmer. What will be left here for me when I grow up? Will there be pure air to breathe? Will the sea be clean? Will tarmac cover all the fields? Will they still be green? Milk from cows, meat, veg and fruit, will they be fit to eat? Will sunlight hurt? Will fumes from cars clog up a crowded street? Will blue whales sing? Will elephants and rhinos still survive? Will you have left us anything healthy and alive? When I've grown up and I'm in charge, what will it be worth? If you have used the goodness up and destroyed the earth. Well, I hope us adults do manage to pass the world on to you in a good way, and that you manage to continue that as you grow up. If you would like to write your own poem about the future, that would be lovely. Or if you would like to use this poem and to draw around it the things that you would miss most about the world. Maybe you'd like to think about the Jewish festival of Tu B'Shevat and think about some personal little actions that you could take to preserve the beauty of the earth. And maybe you can discuss with your family and make a list of things that you can do to look after the world better. I look forward to finding out what you've been thinking about, and I hope that you continue to enjoy the world that we live in.